pretty boring, to talk about. We've been using predictive AI for decades really productively to identify fraud patterns. It's not nearly as exciting as some of the things we hear about Gen AI. And so I just think, as with so many other things in our industry, we just have to be telling the story, right? Mm-hmm. And telling it in a clear way. Talking about the difference between predictive and generative AI, and talking about the possibilities, but just kind of grounding the discussion in reality. It is much more interesting to talk about, movies in which the robot takes over the world powered by Gen AI than it is to talk about something as mundane as better customer service. Mm-hmm. But I just think we have to get out there and tell the stories and make clear what we're doing and what the possibilities are, what we may do, but aren't doing yet.
So speaking of movies.
Yes.
You ever watch The Jetsons?
Yes.
There was an episode I saw recently where the humans went on strike. And you remember George Jetson had this AI companion, Rudy, his computer that he would talk to, had a face and everything.
Yes.
And the humans were going on strike because they were overworked and they wanted Mr. Spacely, their boss, to hire more people. Now, the AI coworkers heard that and thought, wait a minute, if they hire more humans, they have less use for us. And it was just this weird kind of like bizarro version of the conversation we're having today, where people feel like they might be replaced by AI. But now in the future, it's the AIs who are worried that people can do their job better than they do. And it ended in this very surreal sort of situation where they're sitting at a conference table and actually having to negotiate the end of the labor strike. And the humans on the one side have to admit, well, I like working with the AIs because they can do calculations faster than I can. And the AIs are like, well, I like the humans. They fix my bugs and they oil my gears. And I don't think that's literally the situation we're in right now. But I saw it as a very kind of, and this was back in the 80s, I guess, when the Jetsons was made. Just this very sort of prophetic sort of thing where a lot of folks will have to come to terms with, this is what AI will do, this is what AI won't do. And I guess that's a rambling way of coming to the question, are there things that AI won't ever do? Do you see things in our industry that are just completely off limits? They have to have that human touch.
Yeah. So first of all, I do think that seems prophetic. But I will say, look, a couple of things that you touched on there. So one of them is labor, right? And the impact of AI on labor. And I think it's absolutely the case that as we evolve with any technology, right? Any technology at all, the types of labor that are needed change. That's going to be true with AI over time. So you won't be jobless. We're not going to be eliminating jobs, but jobs will change.
Me personally, you promise?
I can't promise that.
Okay.
But as a general matter, the jobs will change. But again, that's true with any technological development, with the printing press, right? Anything like jobs change, the labor that's needed from human beings changes over time, and that will be true here too. In terms of what is off limits for AI, I would say, other than the kind of obvious, like illegal type of things, that we're all and rightfully concerned about, I think it's too early to say there's anything that would be off limits. I think it is true that there will certainly be, as in your Jetsons episode, a mix of technology and people. You need to always ensure that however you're getting to decisions, you're getting there in a way, again, that's transparent, explainable, and that the outcomes are what you would expect. And that's going to require, human intervention. So I think it's a big open question, right? What is this technology actually going to deliver? How are we actually going to use it? And I will say, as we work with policymakers right now, that's one of the things that we're trying to impress, right? We just don't know. So guardrails for sure, right? Let's make sure that we are all comfortable with where we're going, that we can explain and justify, but let's not, make any decisions about what may be that we really aren't yet in a position to make.
Okay. So of the pioneers out there, what are some of the more interesting implementations you're seeing of generative AI in the payments industry?
Yeah.